So thank you everyone for joining us today. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. We have registrants from around the world, so we are so happy to see so many of you on this webinar today. My name is Jacquie Panto. I am the Admissions Recruitment Manager here at Penn Engineering Online. So I work with all potential students like yourselves in learning about the program and particularly learning about the application process, the admissions dates and deadlines and all that good stuff. We have a great webinar planned for you today. Today, we're going to be focusing on our Masters of Computer and Information Technology online program. And you definitely have picked a great webinar today because we have a special guest. We have Dr. Thomas Farmer, and Dr. Farmer is our program director for the MCIT Online Program. So what a better way to learn about our program and our curriculum and our course structure than to hear it from the program director. So we are so thrilled that he's taken the time to be with us today. And I know you are going to really enjoy his insight into the program. So before we get started, I just wanted to go over some webinar housekeeping items with you. First of all, I wanted to let you know that the webinar is being recorded. So there is absolutely no need at all to take notes. You'll be able to watch this webinar as many times as you want. You can share it with friends and you can watch it if you've missed certain sections and you feel like you need to go back and review, you'll be able to do so. Now, if you have questions, we want to be able to answer all your questions today. So the way to do that is to open up the Q&A function in Zoom, type your question out. We also have members of our admissions team behind the scenes. We have Erin and we have Bushra, and they are going to be answering questions. They'll answer it right in that Q&A function. So type it out. They'll answer some of the questions in the Q&A function, and then other questions will be saved for the end, and Dr. Farmer or myself will be answering some of those questions live during the webinar at the very end. But regardless, you want to make sure you are submitting your questions through that Q&A function. So that's really important. So I think we're all set. I think we've got everything covered. So I am going to turn it over to you, Tom. Thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for having me. And thanks everybody for coming this morning. It's a pleasure to see so many people on our webinar, and it's just a pleasure to be here with you. Jackie and I were just talking that we can't believe it's August already. It seems unbelievable that we're at this point in the summer, but it's just the perfect way to kind of wind the summer down is to start thinking about what's coming this fall. So just a little bit about me. I like this picture. It's older. I have more hair and a little more less gray, so I'm keeping that picture in my profile forever. But the things that I would like to give you some background on me about is currently I'm an instructor. I'm certainly the director, but I'm also an instructor in the program for a course called 5930, which is a course that introduces you to everything inside a computer chip. So we try to give you like a full background on what's going on inside a CPU, like what makes up a CPU, what is this thing called a transistor, and then we work it all the way up from that low level. We kind of build a CPU together virtually, and then we start to program the CPU with ones and zeros, and then we try to work up a little bit further and get you to writing code in C. And so it's it's a full course, and in the sense that it covers a lot of topics, and it's very similar to a lot of the courses we have here, where they try to do a full introduction to a really big topic. And I think that you will like all of these introductory courses. I hope you very much like my course 5930, but just wanted to give you that little bit of insight into my class. But a little bit more about my background. I started as a programmer at AT&T. I worked there for about 7 years, right out of college. My degree was in computer science, my undergraduate degree. And then while I was working at AT&T, I was very fortunate that AT&T would pay for my master's degree. So I went to school at night and got my master's degree, and it took a little while because it was, I was working full time and I was going at night. And that experience, which was so difficult, just commuting, getting in a car, driving after a long day of work, and then going up to class and sitting there at night, had a lot to do with me just being in love with this program, because the way that you can access our program is so much better than having to commute somewhere and sit all night in a classroom and then potentially fall asleep if you're really just busy from the day and had a long day, and have a lot of family responsibilities outside of that. So my heart goes out to you, because I fully understand the difficulties of working a very strenuous job and then trying to do school on top of that. So I love this program because I commiserate with you all, in the sense that I feel like there's a kinship there. And I really enjoy that aspect of it, plus trying to give people the benefit of the doubt that are working full time. And it gives me a lot of insight into where you are. But I also love it that we've made this experience just a little bit better, than having to commute, and you can do everything online. And we try to make as much as we can happen in this program to make it so much better for you to get a great education and enjoy the time that you're doing it. As this slide says, I definitely could have stayed at AT&T for the rest of my life. It's a good company, great place to work. But while I loved writing software, and I got even better at it once I got my master's degree in computer science, I really wanted to know what was going on inside the computer itself. So I wanted to learn about the hardware instead of just the software. And I contemplated going back for a master's in computer engineering. But I realized that there was just so much I didn't know about engineering that I decided to really go all the way in and commit to doing a PhD in computer engineering, because I knew that since that kind of a program is a little open-ended, it would allow me to go and get the prerequisite material while I was there. So I asked my current wife to marry me at that point, and then I quit my job right after that, and I packed up and moved to DC. And I'm still surprised she married me. And in the sense that I had no job, but it was a good thing to do. Went down and started my PhD at age 27. And so I was a bit older in the program than a lot of the students that were there. I went again to get the PhD in computer engineering, and I did it at the George Washington University. And I finished my degree in 2010. And while I was doing my research, essentially learning about computer engineering, I had the unique opportunity to work at the U.S. Army Research Lab. It's in basically College Park, Maryland. It was not too far from the school I was going to, because my advisor, she had a wonderful contact and a sort of a relationship set up with the U.S. Army Research Lab, that her students could come and learn. And so at the Army Research Lab, I actually learned about a different aspect of the computer and the transistor. And I learned about how RF and analog signals are harnessed and put into an integrated circuit. And so I was learning all about computer hardware, but at the same time, I was also learning about wireless technology on integrated circuits. So it really kind of opened my mind to a whole different area of computer engineering, and borders on electrical engineering. So really, I had to bring my A game. There was a lot to learn, and there was a lot to do, and a lot of interesting stuff to really dive into. And so I did postdocs, two different postdoctoral fellowships after I finished my PhD. And I was a teacher at the George Washington University while I was a postdoc. And I was also a teaching assistant from all the time that I was doing my PhD. So I really kind of fell in love with teaching during that time. And my family and my wife's family and the grandparents were all up in New Jersey, so we all wanted to go back home. And so after living in Washington, D.C. for about 10 years, we came back, and I joined the University of Pennsylvania in 2012. And it was one of the best moves ever, because it was, they gave me the opportunity to be a jointly appointed lecturer in both the computer science department and the electrical engineering department. So kind of fulfilled both sides of my brain, the love of hardware and the love of software. And I teach courses for, engineering students, and I teach courses for computer science students. But this course that I teach here for MCIT Online, 5930 is kind of the blend of those two worlds, hardware and software coming together. So I absolutely love this course. It is my favorite one to teach. And I just, I'm so glad that it's here in MCIT Online. During that time when I was down in DC, we had our first daughter named Eleanor, and later when we came back up to New Jersey, second daughter Molly. And as far as I know, that's the end of children for us for now, but they're now 10 and 13 years old. So I also love being able to teach online because it gives me a little time to spend more time with my children. So it's a beautiful thing. I live in New Jersey and I commute into Philadelphia in order to teach my courses, but my MCIT online courses are online. So I get to, be home for school with them sometimes, on the days when I'm not in Philadelphia. So it's a pleasure to be here in MCIT Online. And that's a little bit about me. In terms of the program itself, we now have 1,620 students, as the slide in front of you says. We have 57% international citizens with us in the program, and it represents 44 countries, which is just, to me, mind-blowing, because one of my favorite parts about having office hours and just, meeting students is to learn where they're all from. I don't always get, there's a lot of people in the class. I don't always get to meet everybody, but office hours are wonderful because I get to interact with you one-on-one, in a group sort of setting, and I get to learn about you and, try to help you with the course material as well. But that representation of 44 countries is one of my favorite parts because I just get to meet people from all over the world and hear about all the cool things they're doing. And the one thing we, don't have a good slide for because it just, I don't know how we would keep it up, is just the number of different backgrounds that people come in with is also one of our favorite parts, the diversity that adds to our program in terms of diversity of backgrounds is really, again, one of my favorite parts of the program. So, many countries represented, many, citizens from all over the world, and just amazing things. I had a student that was an accountant. I had a student that was I'm trying to think. There was one that was a doctor, so he was like a medical doctor was in my class recently. I had artists and philosophers, and I've had so many different people with so many different backgrounds that it just makes me love coming in and just meeting everybody in office hours. As our last two statistics we have there, women make up 44% of our program. We're trying to do better on that, but we're getting there. It's getting up almost to that beautiful 50-50, which we'd love to see. Age range is 21 to 60. So we have, people starting late like I did, at 27, but we have people that have had, careers already, and they come back and they, they're just trying to change and learn something about computer science, and they go off to have a second or third career in this wonderful area of computer science. And we are just so thrilled to, to have this one slide represent so many wonderful things to us that I hope that you will feel that same amazingness, in the program. I guess a little bit on, like why do it? Why does it exist? Or, a little bit about the degree itself. As you probably know, it's a first of its kind graduate level degree, in the sense that we want to educate folks in computer science that don't have a background in computer science. And that's what really makes it sort of first of its kind. Because you can come from any background, and as long as you just have the basic math background and a good qualitative background, then you're one of ours. We want you here. And we love the more distant majors than computer science. That just makes our program better. It makes a better computer scientist to have people with life experience in different careers that can bring that different perspective and insight into our program and try to see computer science from their perspective. And then some people change to computer science, or some people like incorporate the knowledge they learn here in this program into their careers. We have artists that go back and now integrate computers into their world, and programming is, the piece that they want from that. And, we have, again, like I said, we had doctors taking the program, like, medical doctors, and they go on and they, are trying to implement medical records, but they're staying physicians, so it's a cool thing to see people come in with really different backgrounds, and learn all about computer science. So as you may or may not know, the MCIT program first existed at Penn as an on-campus program with a very similar intention. We accept people with just backgrounds that are not computer science. We don't take anyone with a computer science degree. And that program started in 2001. And so it's been around, for a good amount of time now, which is kind of crazy to think it's 20 years plus at this point. As I said, I joined Penn in 2010, so I started teaching for the MCIT on campus program at that time. And I was sort of trying to craft and perfect this course that is now in, MCIT Online. And then when we started MCIT Online, we asked all of the professors that were, part of MCIT on campus to make an online version of their course. And it worked out so beautifully because everyone had been teaching their courses for a while. And so they really know the material really, really well, like in terms of a well, practiced class. And then they were able to work with professionals that would sort of take the course that existed in an on-campus world and help us learn how to, do it in an online format and sort of really scrub our classes to get just the best and the essence of the material that we wanted to bring to you, in this new beautiful format of an online course. And so, it's the blend of a lot of great things. It's great expertise coming from professors that have been doing this for a while, but also, making something brand new in the sense of, an online variation of these courses. And these courses have become even better than they ever were. So we love that about the blend of these two programs. But yeah, MCIT Online is definitely is a truly original program now, and its own program. So we absolutely love that. The knowledge that is conferred, as you might say, well, it's a master of communication. Of computer and information technology. Sometimes that throws people off, but it really is the same thing as a computer science degree. All of the courses are very similar. All of the fundamentals are, put into the courses that you'll see. The 6 core courses are the same as a master's degree, but they again are tailored for people that don't have a computer science background. So we get you up to speed with those courses. These are the courses, the 6 core courses that I just mentioned. Are the ones that you see up here on the top of the slide. Mine is highlighted in red just for fun because I get to be here today. But yeah, these are the 6 core courses. And again, these will give you the absolute foundation of computer science, right? This is what we believe are the 6 most important courses that will provide you a foundation, not only to go on in computer science, but to take courses, our elective courses. So as you see, there's 4 elective courses, making 10 courses total to get, to achieve or to earn your master's degree. But the 4 elective courses are, built on the idea that you've taken the 6 core courses and that you maybe really want to like get into something from those core courses at a greater depth, right? Maybe your interest is artificial intelligence or machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence. And maybe you're into network security. There's a lot of different pathways through our electives. But those 6 core courses give you the background that you'll need to succeed beautifully in the electives. And the electives can give you a chance to either, like I said, subspecialize in something, be an expert in AI, or just to continue to broaden your, your horizon in computer science. And you could take 4 courses that are unrelated to one another, but, give you a more robust, background. And so no matter which way you decide to go through those electives, you'll have great success with it. So this is our, basic, our set. And the elective courses that we have are many now. We have a lot of new electives. We kind of introduce almost a new one every year. But we have a complete list of them, so we can make that available to you if you haven't already seen it on our website. And I guess, in terms of as a student, of course, what's the experience like? How does it work? As each, or as you may or may not know, the semesters are the same as an on-campus semester. It's 14 to 15 weeks of classes or of lectures, but all of the lectures are on demand. So they're all done through videos. They're not live, so you can watch them during your own time. When you have time. Unlike doing it at night. If you want to do it on the weekend, you go right ahead. Or you want to take a day off of work one week and just watch your lectures for that week, you can do that. Or if you're on the train or a bus or however you're commuting and you want to watch them on your phone, they're tailored to look good on a phone and be easy to understand. So we try to put a lot of time and effort into these videos, and they're professionally produced. And so they're really quite beautiful in terms of the way that they look and the continuity between lectures. Considerable effort has been made to make these lectures and the videos that harness them as great as they could possibly be, and give you a really grade A experience when you're here. There are no specific real-time sessions to ever be a part of. The only thing that is going to occur is synchronously is office hours. But to give you some insight into that, for just about every course, we have a 1 to 10, that's approximate, teaching assistant to student ratio. So each of our, if we have 100 students in a class, we have 10 TAs, they all have, office hours on their own. And so you can come into those office hours, which are scattered throughout the week, and they're given at lots of different times. So they fit almost all time zones. We make great efforts to do that. To make it so everyone has support, and you can come into those, TA office hours, or the instructor's office hours, which are once a week, and really get plug into the material, plug into the instructor, get to meet everybody in the office hours, or just go there just to get help, for your homework that week. While there aren't specific real-time, like the videos you can watch on your own, usually the homework and exams, those are synchronous. So you have weekly and bi-weekly deadlines depending on the course for that material. And we have ongoing discussion forums in each class. So, if you have a question and you need an answer and it's just a short one and you don't need to, go to office hours for it, you can just post it on our messaging board, and a TA or the instructor will go ahead and answer that as fast as possible. So we have an army of TAs out there trying to help and to do their very best to get answers that will help you, or if you're struggling with something, direct you to the right component. We even have scenarios where if you're really struggling or something, you can have like one-on-one extra time with a teaching assistant. So the course experience is a good experience in terms of it's very doable, it's very manageable, it's very on your own, but the deadlines are there to kind of keep you moving along in the course, so it doesn't go on and on and on. The beauty of a 15-week semester is that it kind of pushes you in the right direction to get everything done in time. And so I know this, there's more that we could talk about in terms of what the weekly experience is like. It's hard to say until you get there. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is just that we also have wonderful sort of student support. The online community here is really rich. And so we have ways to access that. I believe, Jackie, you might be speaking a little bit to that, or I wasn't sure if I should, but I thought you might want to take this one. So please go ahead and
Well, that was a perfect segue into this next slide, Tom. So that was perfect. Thank you so much.
Do it right.
That was great. Yes, as Dr. Farmer mentioned, in addition to our army of TAs and the fabulous support from our instructors, our professors, a big point of difference with our program versus other programs out there really is our community of students are amazing. And we do whatever we can to provide the resources so that our students can support one another, can get to know one another, and just to get involved overall. So a couple of ways that this happens. Once you become a student, there is a student-run organization called MOSA. This is in our MCIT program. It's the MCIT Online Student Association, and you can get involved with that. Again, this is student-run. They have their own events. They talk about different career opportunities, even along with our career services resource, but they really do a lot to support students and to get students involved. So we would highly recommend that you check that out if you're looking to really, put a foot forward in terms of getting involved with the MCIT community. In addition to that, there's lots of different events, different ways that you can get support and meet others. There's virtual meetups. Our student affairs team will host different events, different coffee chats, and networking events. We also have, this fall will be our second Fall Fest. Every fall, we are looking to do an in-person event where we invite all of our students to campus. So if you'd like to come to campus, there's 3 days in the fall that you can do that. It's a great event. It's a networking event. It's a learning event. It's a social event, and it really is a great way to meet your fellow students, to meet some of our professors, and to meet the Penn Engineering Online team as well. So it's lots of fun. I was able to participate last year, and it really was great to just see so many relationships being built, during the event. So that's definitely another way. Also, what we find from our students is that they're able to connect, say, through our Slack channels, and they also arrange their own meetups. So geographically, our Slack channels might have different geographic areas where students communicate, and they put together their own meetups. Or if you're traveling, you can reach out to different Slack communities and say, hey, I'm going to be in Portland, Oregon, next week, and anybody out in that area, I'd love to get together. So we really do try to come up with events, different ways to connect, so that those students who want to be a part of a vibrant community can. And again, other ways of connecting are not only through Slack, but we mentioned the Ed discussion boards, and there's also a LinkedIn channel for students as well as alumni. So we really do provide the resources. When we have this community that is made up of students that are just so willing to help each other and so willing to support each other. If you remembered in the beginning, I mentioned how this webinar is being recorded. Please go on our website, go on to our news channel, and you can see different webinars that we've had done in the past. Look at the student webinars where we've had student panelists, and hear what they have to say about this community, because the same thing comes through. They all talk about the support of the student community. And that's really, I feel, is a really strong difference with our program versus other programs out there. It's a great point of difference. We strive to make sure that no one feels isolated, and we give them the tools to get involved, which is really great. I can speak all day about this. The next thing I wanted to talk about has to do with the application. I believe that's the next. Yep, there we go. Perfect timing. So I'm sure many of you have either looked at the application, you've started the application, you have questions about the application. Regardless where you are in the process, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about this. Our application does have a few elements to it, but it's pretty turnkey and really not all that difficult. You will need an updated resume. You'll need a personal statement. You'll need college transcripts for every college you've attended, every course that you've taken. There is a $90 application fee. Once all of that is completed, you can submit your application. Now, you'll also need letters of recommendation. All you need to do on the application is to put in the contact information for those recommenders. And then once your application is submitted, your recommenders can then upload those recommendations, and they're going to automatically link with your application. The GRE is optional. You do not have to submit a GRE. However, it is a tool. If you remember when Dr. Farmer was explaining how this is a community made up of individuals from lots of different backgrounds. However, they do need to have that quantitative ability. They need to have that quantitative thought process and ability. So if for some reason your undergraduate degree did not have a lot of math courses and you're showing not a lot of math on those transcripts, the GRE might be a great way to show your quantitative ability. So you could take the GRE and submit those scores to show proof of quantitative ability. It's optional, but it's a tool for the application if needed. The TOEFL test, that is going to be for individuals who are not U.S. citizens or U.S. permanent residents. And if English is not your primary language, then you would definitely need to submit a TOEFL score. The TOEFL can be waived if you attended a university and received a degree where the primary medium instruction was English. So there are ways to waive that TOEFL exam. Once you submit your application, the great thing is you'll always be able to check on the status. You'll be able to see if recommenders submitted their letters of recommendation or if your GRE scores are in or your TOEFL scores. So once you submit, you'll be able to go to your checklist and see exactly where your application stands. So in terms of dates and deadlines right now we're in the regular application cycle. So the regular application deadline is not until October 3rd. So you have until October. Once you submit those applications, and again, all materials will be due October 3rd. Once you submit those materials, all decisions will be returned on November 10th. And then for accepted students, deposits are due December 1st. And the onboarding course, which is a fabulous way to get to know everything about what's in store for you in the program, that onboarding course will start December 4th. So you get an idea of the layout of this. Just a couple little pointers with regard to the application that I always like to point out. So first of all, with the personal statement, it's really important that you answer all our questions on the personal statement. We do not conduct interviews. Some programs, you have to sit for an interview. We do not conduct interviews. The personal statement is like your interview. So we really do want you to answer all those questions. And it's important to answer every question on the personal statement. Letters of recommendation. We only require 2 letters of recommendation to be received. I strongly urge that you seek 3. And the reason why is that's your safety net. The letters of recommendation is probably the only element that's out of your control. You're relying on others to submit what's needed on time. Those letters of recommendation are due by deadline. So they're due by October 3rd. So having that 3rd recommender in there might provide you with a little bit of a safety net in case one of your recommenders is not very timely and they're late. So I would suggest that you seek 3 strong recommenders versus just 2, so you have the safety net. When choosing recommenders, they can be professional recommendations. They do not have to be academic. They can be. If you're in your last semester of undergrad or in your last semester of a master's program and you're applying to the MCIT Online Program, or maybe you just graduated last year from a program, then those professors are still going to remember you, and maybe you built a relationship with someone and you're going to use them for a recommendation. That's fabulous. But if you're like me that graduated a million years ago, I would not be using a professor. They probably have no idea who I am at this point, and I have not really kept up with any relationships with my professors. So that would not be a good option for me. So definitely professional recommendations are completely fine. You want to try to choose people, or you should be choosing people that are kind of above you on the organizational chart, somebody that is managing your projects, oversees your projects. Maybe it's a direct report, maybe it isn't. But you do not want to use coworkers. You don't want to use family members. You don't want to use friends. Okay, so think about who you want to select. And they should be people that can write about the whys. Why are you a great fit for the MCIT online program? If they're talking about that you're a hard worker, why? Why are you a hard worker? What have they seen that has proven or has shown that you're hardworking? So the whys are kind of important when you're thinking about who would be a good recommender. Okay, so think that through because that's important. So those are just a couple tips. And like I mentioned, with regard to transcripts, please include all college transcripts. So every school, if you went to start out at a community college and then transfer to another college or university, we need that community college transcripts as well. So it's important that you include transcripts from all schools. And for our international students that studied at universities not in the United States, please make sure those transcripts are in English. And please make sure if they are not in the 4.0 grading scale, it would be best, and we really, really urge you to include the grading scale so that so that it can properly be reviewed. Okay, so those are just some tips about the application. Next, I just want to go over briefly, I believe I'm going to go over some tuition with you. I think that's the next slide. Yes, perfect. So tuition currently is $33,300, which is $3,300 per course unit. And like Professor Farmer said, there's 10 course units in the MCIT Online program. In addition, there's a $1,500 per course unit fee. And again, tuition is based on how many courses you register for. If you're registered for one course a semester, you're paying for one course. Two courses, you'll pay for two courses. So it really depends on how you enroll and what your plan is. We do allow 5 years to complete the program. So if you need to spread your finances out, you certainly can, so that not all is hitting you all at one time. You can spread them out over the 5 years, which is also a great option. So I think I want to open it up for some questions here. I do see some questions that have come through. So let me just take a look here, and we will open it up for some questions. Okay, so it looks like the first question is for you, Tom. And it says, sustainability is becoming increasingly strategic. Whoops. And especially high performance CS for AI has a large and growing footprint. How does this program address the sustainability challenges of technology to balance leading innovation and doing so responsibly?
It's an excellent question. Sustainability and computing is a huge topic right now, right? And how much, like, I mean, just as a simple question, like how much energy is a particular server using, like, and how could we find ways to lower, how much energy that server is using? That's just, a very simplistic example of just a kind of discussion that one might have in the class. I know in my 5930, we talk a lot about what's inside the CPU. Basically, there are topics discussed like, how much power does this thing use, and what's the implication of that? Well, we can't go, because it's a little bit of an introductory course, we don't go too deeply into it, but kind of making you aware of it. The idea is that sustainability and computing is kind of weaved into each class. So there's always, a discussion on it, and depends on the topic and whether it lends itself towards sustainability. But yeah, it's a huge thing that is now sort of on the mind of every professor that's teaching a course, and ways to better utilize the hardware, and in order to achieve a more efficient use of the machine, and ultimately to sort of make our our beautiful equipment do the right thing, as things are going through. So it's kind of, it's I wouldn't say that there's a particular course in it, but there's definitely just a lot of discussion on it as we as you move through each course. A lot of discussion is given on that when we have some cloud technology electives and things like that. And so we really, they get into big topics like that in that particular course. So, it can be as big as a unit in a course. It can be, an underlying theme, or it can be just sort of sprinkled into different courses, but it's definitely, big in the thoughts of folks teaching in the courses here in the program.
Yeah, great question for sure. The second question has to do with, I guess, basically career opportunities. This registrant is asking, our potential students asking, what can I do with the MCIT online degree?
I mean, it's as diverse, in terms of coming out of the program as the students that are in it, in the sense that we have folks going to all sorts of different companies. Folks leave here and go to Amazon, Google, Meta, They go into finance, Deloitte, Goldman Sachs, and Capital One. I'm looking at our list of places that students go, and it never ceases to amaze me, all the things that people do with our program. But a lot of people go, depending on, again, what your intention was coming into the program. Lots of our graduates go into being software developers. So they're writing software, they're writing code. It depends on, the company that they go to work for, the type of programming or the type of software they're trying to write. But yeah, we have a large percent. I think it's looking at our statistics here, 48% go into software engineering and development. And there's so many different people that, again, they have different careers coming in, and so they might stay in the career that they're in but incorporate computer science into it. And so there's a lot you can do with it. You will be a full-on computer scientist when you come out, so any area of computer science that you're really interested in going into is definitely it's an option for you when you leave the program, for sure.
It's almost like, what doesn't computer science touch, really, is really what it comes down to, right? Yeah. And a few things to consider with this question. I think what Professor Farmer was looking at is we have a career outcomes report, and I'm not sure if we were able to share that with whoever asked this question, but if you go to our website and go under resources and our career services resources, that report is at the bottom of that page. Which brings up another point, is that we have a fabulous a professional development, a career services resource. And we have a team there. Emily Perry heads it up. She's our Associate Director of Professional Development and Networking. She helps our students. If you're looking to career switch, if you're looking to get into the technology field or whatever field you want to get into, Emily and her team is there to help with the resources necessary. If you're looking to enhance your own career and you're not really sure how to do that, or you're not sure how to ask for that job promotion or the increase in salary or whatever it is, again, Emily can help with that as well, and her team can help with that. So I think what Professor Farmer was talking about is we have a couple of different types of students. We have students that are career enhancers. They want to stay within their own industries. They want to use computer science to enhance their own fields and to grow in their own fields. And then we have what we call the student that's a career switcher. And those students are maybe looking to get into the technology field, where they're in whatever field now, but they want to get into tech, and they're a career switcher. And then we have some students that are just coming out of undergrad. They didn't have a computer science undergraduate degree, but they want that computer science. And that's our third type of student, so to speak. So really, this program kind of covers all bases. And again, I don't think there's a field that, computer science isn't touching. So it really is going to be based on what your overall goals are, what you're looking to get out of it. But we definitely can help you along the way, I think, is really what it comes down to, for sure.
Very much.
And then we have another question here. It says, whoops, I keep flicking off the screen. Are there opportunities to pursue development projects as part of the program? Also, have any graduates gone on to pursue research after graduation?
Yes, to both of those things, actually. Yes. So we have, each course depends on the course. Some of them have, more intense sort of projects as you reach the end of the course. So there's scenarios there where you're, really kind of coming up with some big type of project. But we also have, it's actually through some of our student organizations, the ability to kind of work collaboratively with like 4 or 5 people, come up with a proposal for, like a real product of your own, and then, be given the opportunity to go ahead and work on that project, sometimes with faculty if people are interested in it. But then also these products, once they come, sort of prototype is developed, they are compared and judged, and we have awards and things like that for these types of students that just want to go and sort of do a little extra work outside of the classroom. So that's definitely an option here. And of course, even if you never did that and you just stick with our core courses and our electives, you have lots of opportunities to be doing big types of projects that future employers would love to see, but also that will give you tremendous experience in the world of computer science. To the other question about going on for research, there are definitely, research options in the sense that you're interacting with Penn professors, as you're going through the program. So if you take our 10 classes, you'll have 10 different professors. And as you hopefully, get to know them a bit through maybe office hours, or maybe just through email or, an electronic form of communication, you can reach out to them and say, listen, I really love this area. Are you actively doing research in this area? And do you need someone to do something in that world of research that you're doing? And, depends on the professor, depends on the student, and, the opportunities that are available at that moment and their level of interest. But yes, we've definitely had students, do some one-on-one, or research as part of a professor's group. And so while that's not the primary focus of the program, ours is a terminal master's program, meaning, you've received this degree and you're ready to go work. But some people, like they kind of weave a little bit of research into it, and then they apply someday for a PhD. So, it's definitely the type of degree that can lead you into the world of research if you so choose.
Yeah, for sure. I know we get that question a lot about, applicants that are looking to get maybe a PhD further down the road and they're interested in research. And again, you're in the right place because of the amount of research that our professors are involved with, for sure.
And they host webinars, and there's all sorts of things. You're a proper Penn student, so you can come to anything that you like, and almost everything now is given sort of an online spin, even if it's not specifically meant for MCIT Online. So there's always access to those things, and these things are listed on our websites, and access to them is definitely, you are welcome to those on-campus events, in the sense of if you have electronic access.
Great. And then we did have a question about that because we mentioned quantitative ability and the need for quantitative ability for this program. So someone is asking, like, exactly what does that mean and what kind of quantitative ability do you need for this program?
Sure. Yeah, it's always that's a hard question because again, everybody's coming from such different backgrounds, and it may be a really long time since you've had anything quantitative in terms of your, background. But, we're always looking for people to have at least had, at the very least, college algebra, because that is sort of the stepping stone towards, the next type of math that you're going to see here, the discrete math courses that you're going to have as part of the program. And so algebra is definitely the prerequisite there. So, having done well in college level algebra, even beyond that is great. It just kind of gives us an example of your, like how well you are at, quantitative work. Also, we have people take the GRE and they, do very well in the quantitative section. And so then we know, yep, they're ready to go in terms of, they have the background for it. So I think, some people think, oh man, I got to go back. I got to go get calculus under my belt. None of that could be farther from the truth. It's great if you've had it, and it'll only help you in that sense. You don't have to have calculus or know it to come into the program or to succeed. But definitely a very good working knowledge of algebra, maybe a little bit beyond that, just for your, rigid nature. I just personally, when I went back for my PhD, I knew I didn't have enough math. So I just, took a couple of courses at the local community college that was available to me. And so if you're super nervous about your math background or you just want to brush up, can't hurt to take a course in math if you have the time for such a thing to do it. Otherwise, definitely a solid score on the GRE's quantitative. If you have just like zero math in your background and you want to just specialize in something, you can definitely go that route too. So we try very hard to look at your full background. So that's those are the two big indicators that are helpful to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the going back and taking some courses if you feel like you don't have any math on that transcript. Definitely going back and taking courses or taking that GRE is definitely helpful to prove that quantitative ability for sure. And the other thing too, like you mentioned, Tom, We review holistically. So everything is important and everybody has a different background. So there is no magic answer,
Right.
because different backgrounds, somebody can have something and, they're successful and they have something else and their success just depends because the backgrounds are just so different. And we really do look at everything holistically, and every element of that application is important too.
No, I saw another the question in the chat about discrete math, more relevant algebra. It really just, it depends on the math you've taken, what you're coming in with and how you did in it. There's never a sense of like going back and taking a course in calculus and getting an F in it. That does nothing for anyone, so do well in the math that you know already and love, and bring that to the table. And if you can't do that, another way to examine your quantitative background, we like Jackie said, we really look holistically at the application. So it's a hard answer. We don't have a specific one to give you, but just some evidence of quantitative background is critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think we have a couple more things to share with you before we wrap this up today. I don't see any more questions in there, so I think we did a pretty good job at getting them all answered. But just in case you end today and you do think of some more questions, what can you do to find those answers? I think the first place that I would go to, we have a great FAQ database. Go to our website and you can search it and you can ask pretty much any question in there. There are so many questions and so many answers. So that would definitely be the first place that I would go to. Next, please email us. That you see our email address on the screen. It's online-admission@cs.upenn.edu. That is manned all the time by the admissions team. There's usually a minimum of 3 of us in that inbox at all times. So we really do our best to get everything answered within 24 hours. So that's the best way to reach us, is through our email address. If you're not signed up for our mailing list, we definitely recommend that you do that. That is a great place so that we can keep you updated on different events like this one today, changes in any deadlines or anything that's going on in the program, in the admissions process and the application process. So definitely sign up for our mailing list. If you are interested in the program, but you're not 100% sure about the program, please try one of our on-demand courses. These are online courses. They're not for credit. They're to give you a good sense of what the program's all about, give you a little bit of background in terms of some of the concepts. One is Introduction to Programming with Python and Java. The other is Computational Thinking for Problem Solving. They're taught by professors that teach in the MCIT Online Program. And again, this will give you some background to what the program is all about, and a little bit of the content of the program. So if you're not sure and you're a little bit leery, this might be a great starting ground for you and giving you a good understanding of some of these basic concepts for sure. And then lastly, the last thing I wanted to tell you about, we have lots of different events, but we have a great event coming up in September. We're doing a virtual open house. And this is going to be made up of various different team members, and you're going to be able to meet with and go into different meeting rooms for various different areas. For instance, obviously, MCIT program, our other program, which is our MSEDS online program, you can meet with our course developers, those folks that have helped develop the courses or helped to make changes in the courses and have put together all of these online courses. So our course development team will be there. Our course management team, those that work with our TAs and how to manage those courses, they will be there to discuss how that works. Of course, I'll be there talking about the application. We'll have somebody from financial aid there. Our career services team will be there as well. So pretty much every area that you can think about will be represented. So any questions that you have, I strongly recommend that you sign up for our virtual open house. And you can get a really good feel for our team and for what goes into our programs. And hopefully we can answer any more questions that you might have. And then beyond this, if you're looking for any other events, please go to our website. At the very top, you can see events. Click on that. We have some coffee chats coming up in August. Coffee chats are like a group office hours. And it's a way for you to ask questions in a group setting, and you get to hear what other applicants are asking as well, which I think is really great. Or please sign up for office hours. The admission team has office hours almost every day of the week. You can sign up for those office hours. They're 15-minute private meetings with an admissions counselor. We can certainly help you that way with the application and any other questions you have. So we are all happy to help you. We wish you the best of luck through the application process. Dr. Farmer, thanks so much for being with us today. It was wonderful, as always.
Well, thanks for having me, Jackie. It was a pleasure to be here, and it's great to at least see some of the names on the attendee list that I'll get to hopefully know when we get closer into the, and into the semester. So thank you again very much, Jackie, for the time.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.